Okay, welcome back everybody to the Artemis Path in No Man's Sky. Literally just finished recording the previous video and I'm going straight into this one. So we've been invited by Priest Entity Nada to come on board his Anomaly. Or their Anomaly, I should say. None of the characters in this game are male or female, we're all completely genderless. They're all referred to as they or them or theirs. Okay, brief look around. So we have lots of landing pads. There should be 16, because everything in this game is 16. Here we have the Nexus, which in a minute will allow us to be doing some missions which can be played multiplayer. That thing at the top is referring to the weekend missions, so that means there's a weekend mission ready to go. These two here are Quicksilver missions, which will are short missions that you can again do multiplayer if you want, or by yourself, doesn't matter. And they'll award 250 Quicksilver each. The weekend mission gives you 1,200 Quicksilver. Sometimes on this side there's a purpley icon to indicate that one of the missions in here is what's known as an encrypted mission, which means you won't have a clue what the mission's about until you start it, and it's usually got some slightly better rewards. You can spend your Quicksilver here at the Quicksilver Companion. So at the moment it is only showing the original Quicksilver items that were in the game when Quicksilver was first introduced. Usually it shows a whole lot more than this, but there seems to be a bit of an issue with the patch that just came out for the game that seems to have reverted it to these for some bizarre reason. But I'm sure they'll sort that soon enough. We go up here. Here we have Helios. And at the moment none of them want to talk to me because we've not talked to Nada and Polo yet, but he will usually give you some nanites and stuff for all your discoveries, so for having uploaded your discoveries. Ares here will offer you some upgrade modules of all types and will offer you some trade. Kronos here likes to be fed some random food items you've cooked. Again, that's a video for another day. Now at the back here we have our main little hub area. So we've got Persis, who will help us with some exocraft research. Alright, so we can spend nanites to learn these technologies. So these are technology blueprints, so once you've bought them they're yours forever. You can install them and delete them at will, it doesn't really matter, you can keep doing that. It's always a random multi-tool. Again, this depends on the system you're in, it will pick one at random from the pool of 21 I think, different multi-tools in that system. Okay, EOS is multi-tool research. So again, lots of stuff here. Now, this right here, the survey device, you want to buy it as early as you possibly can. So, I'm going to get this waveform recycler to unlock it. It is annoying, it boots you out of the menu every time you do it. But... Right, now the reason for giving us a secondary mission about it, the reason for doing it, if I can find it in the catalogue. Survey device. A self-contained circuitry upgrade for the analysis visor, adding real-time terrain analysis to the scanning array. Basically, it will allow you to find the hotspots on a planet. So a power hotspot, every planet will have a power hotspot, it will have each of the minerals you can mine on that planet, it will have oxygen, and it will have one of the free gases. those 6 different hotspots will always be in range from wherever you put your base computer. It doesn't matter where you put it, you will always be able to get to them within 1,050 units. Your base computers automatically add a 300 U radius around it that becomes your base, but you can extend that out to 1,000 U, and then the additional 50 you can use the build camera to get to. So you can always get to at least 16 different hotspots, and they will always include one of each of the 6. Now, there's no accounting for whether they'll be C, B, A or S class, but you can always find them. No matter where you build your base computer, no matter what type of planet it is, they are always there, I promise you. So the reason we bought that is because we want to start building them as soon as we can, because they are very, very handy for collecting a lot of resources without having to mine forever and ever and ever. Okay, here we have Saline, who's all about exosuit research. Okay, so you can see some of them are already unlocked because we've already built them and stuff. These will help us survive a little bit better on certain types of planets. Our personal refiner is quite a handy thing to have. Hazmat gauntlets we want to buy as early as possible as well, so we're going to unlock both of them too. And it's quite possible that when you first get here you won't have enough nanites to do this, but you want to get these particular things I'm buying as early as you possibly can. Let's see if there's anything else we desperately need. Not really. Okay, then, oh, hello, lots of other players just clipped in. It was obviously just reconnected to the internet on my computer. Okay, Hyperion has starship upgrades. Now, teleport receiver we're going to get now. That will enable us to transfer items back and forth between our ship over a much longer distance than you noticed so far. I've had to be like right next to my ship to take things out. Well, if we build this in there, then that won't be the case. So we're going to buy that. And because we bought that, it's also unlocked the economy and conflict scanner. You want at least the economy scanner like as soon as you possibly can. Silly cat. Okay, what else is there then? Okay. You'll also want to be aiming, not necessarily straight away, but again as soon as you can, to get the efficient thrusters and the launch system recharger. Launch system recharger will mean you won't have to keep recharging your launch thrusters because it will just do it automatically. It's a time thing, so it happens over time. So as long as you're not taking off every 30 seconds, you should find that every time you come back to your ship it's filled again. So let's unlock them, why not? Okay, and then the other thing that we want, for the sake of easy resource collecting, and I'll show you a trick of it in a bit, once I get rid of my cat out of the room because she's playing up. Okay. Yes, the positron ejector. I'll show you it properly later, but basically you can fly your ship around the planet using the positron ejector to just attack the ground of the planet, and it'll just be collecting the resources it's destroying. So you can be shooting at a bunch of trees and it'll put loads of carbon into your inventories and stuff, or you can be shooting at rocks and it'll put ferrite dust in there. So it's quite a handy little trick to just fly around shooting at the ground using the positron ejector, because it's basically a shotgun for your ship. So it's attacking large areas in little bits and yeah, it's quite handy. So this thing in front of me is the Construction Research Station. Now you remember we built a version of this on our base, but I told you that it only has a few of the items in it. Well, let's have a look through this menu and you'll see what I mean. Right, so large prefabs, right? So these are what you want to start with when you're base building, because they're essentially large rooms and corridors, and you don't really need to do too much to build a nice habitable base with these. These are quite handy. Again, you need to be spending salvage data for anything in this computer. So the things that we were digging up out of the ground, those are salvage data. Okay, now for the time being, I'm just going to unlock a few little bits of these. So some corridors. I want the hollow door really, because the normal door you have to wire up in a particular way to make it open or close depending on what situation you want it to do that in. So some different shaped corridors. I'm going to run out of data. Yep, I run out of data. I should have got that one really. The biodomes are extremely handy for planting flowers and stuff in. You can plant 16 in there, because everything's 16 in this game. There's a little computer in the middle of it that you can go to just automatically harvest all of the 16 plants at once. It also, quite amusingly, will harvest any plants that happen to be touching the biodome or close to it, or anything like that, so that's quite handy. Okay, small prefabs. So again, these are quite handy for building your own sort of shapes of rooms. These and the large prefabs will share power. So what I mean by that is if you build a bunch of corridors off of a cylindrical room and a square room at the end of one of those corridors, and like put some cuboid rooms at the end of those corridors, like you will find that all you need to do is connect your power to outside one of these rooms or corridors, and it will share that power across all of it and anything you've built in them. Okay, so large prefabs, small prefabs, got technology modules. Alright, these are all worth, a lot of these are worth unlocking quite early on. Your transport module, so this is about your exocraft. Now I wouldn't bother spending your salvage data on any of these just yet, because you'll find that as we go through the story, like a lot of the stuff that you can unlock here on the Anomaly, as you go through the story, a lot of it is unlocked for you without you having to spend anything, just because you followed the story. So we're not going to spend anything in here apart from the Monitor, which currently isn't a part of the story because it's a new addition to the game that you will have to unlock from here to be able to use. Okay, so aquatic modules for building underwater. Again, a lot of this will be unlocked for you if you do the Dreams of the Deep mission later on. So don't bother buying it from here. Decals to put on walls and floors and ceilings and stuff. Decorative modules, so just lots of things to put inside your bases. And yet more of them, so mats and flags and desks and stuff. Lots of lighting. Industrial modules. Now this is an interesting area. So where I was talking about being able to mine your planets without mining, this is the menu that we're talking about. Okay, we want to, as soon as we can, buy mineral extractors, supply depots, gas extractors, and the supply pipe will be free, but we'll still have to grab it. So we want them ASAP, and we want our solar panel and electromagnetic generators as soon as possible too. Okay. The batteries can be handy to use alongside the solar panels, and the electrical cloaking device will mean that when you're not in your build menu, so you're not currently building, all your wires and pipes will be hidden, so you don't have to have all those ugly wires showing. You've got a variety of different switches, but let's not worry about them for now. They're not necessary, but they do come in handy if you're trying to do very specific things with your electricity. Right, then you've got your agricultural modules. So again, this is another area where your base NPCs that you'll have later, if you follow the story, will unlock the vast majority of this for you, so don't buy it. Wooden stuff, metal stuff, concrete stuff. You remember we bought some of the wooden stuff already to build our tiny little shelter with. Primitive shapes, so you can use these on the inside or outside of buildings to just make them the shapes that you want them to be, and you can do lots of interesting stuff with them. Storage containers, you will definitely want these as soon as possible, but again, wait for now, because at least this first one will be unlocked for you if you follow the story. And then we're back to our first menu, large prefabs. So you'll see there's a lot of stuff that we can unlock for base building. Okay, this thing in the middle doesn't currently do anything, and nor does the computer on this side, but I think that there's potentially some purpose behind it in the future. Hello Games obviously updates quite a lot. It's been going for 4 years, this game, and it is a vastly different game nowadays than it was when it first came out. Been 11 major updates now, and over 200 patches, and you'll find that that they've got a lot more planned, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Okay, here we have our massive teleporter. If we have a look at this, so you've got places you've been to recently, you've got bases that belong to people that are currently on board the Space Anomaly, so you can go and visit their bases. The Anomaly itself obviously only has 32 people maximum, but really it's 16 because the landing spaces have been reduced to 16. So 16 people on the Anomaly at one given time, so there's lots of different versions of the Anomaly, because obviously there's way more than 16 people playing at once. If you're in a group with somebody playing this game in multiplayer, then you're much more likely to spawn on the same Anomaly as them than if you're not in their group. Your bases will come up here, and there's usually featured bases, but my internet keeps dropping out, so they're not on there. But those will be usually 3 different bases that Hello Games have picked out, that have been shown to them on Reddit or Twitter, that they've had a look at and decided that they're amazing bases that everyone needs to see, so they'll be on featured. And that shows everything. Through this back door here is the Korvax simulation terminal, which at the moment does absolutely nothing. It says that there's a simulation running in it. The machine hums, glowing with a life and power that unnerves me. The terminal is scrambled, its display unreadable. Okay. Depending on your choices throughout the story, none of which have major impacts, by the way. Don't worry, you can't mess your game up by making the wrong choices or anything, but there are 2 specific choices later on, or one if you make what I consider to be the wrong decision on the first one. Depending on your choices on that first one, something will happen in here. I'm not going to give that away. And then your second choice involves telling a character the truth or lying to them. Always go for the truth. There's no good reason to be lying to them. This is Iteration Tethys, who is disguised as a strange Gek, but is not in fact a Gek. Okay, fine, let's give you some units. You see? Not a Gek. Yes, we've come across sentinels. So he's running from the sentinels are after him. Alright, again, this is a little balcony shortcut. And another little balcony shortcut. Ariadne. All these little NPCs, by the way, throughout the story, you should keep coming back to the anomaly and talking to all of them, because depending on what's going on in the story at any given point, they've got new things to say to you. Yeah, and keep coming back here over and over again. Every time you've done something new, your mission log updates or anything like that, keep coming back. They've got tons to say. Sometimes it changes after tiny little things have happened, like you might have only been away from the anomaly for a few minutes, done something, and then the story updates slightly and they've got something new to say. So keep coming back here at every opportunity that you get. My sort of written down walkthroughs on the Facebook group, Facebook.com/groups/NMS resources. Those little walkthroughs tell you exactly when it updates, so exactly when to be coming back. Alright, here we've got Nada and Polo. Let's talk to Nada then. I am Priest Entity Nada, a divergent Korvax. Welcome to our anomaly. Get out of the screen, mate. Our home here is pleasant, yes? Polo's own design. A perfect bubble. Beyond the Sentinels, beyond vengeful Korvax, Nada watches time come and go. Let's ask about Artemis first. A traveller entity. Perhaps they are known to you. I do not know their number. Nada does not care to think about iterations as numbers. They were lost to us. Highly improbable. Our anomaly is lost to the Sentinels, but none should be lost to the anomaly. The Korvax watches me. There is a patience, an organic tilt to the way they hold their metal shell. Korvax, in case you don't know, are machines that are in some ways like the Borg from Star Trek. They are all connected to each other, and the bodies of the Korvax are basically just shells that they can download into. So at any given time, the entity within it can go away and be replaced by a different one. Now, Nada here is separated from the collective, and he's therefore not very liked by the rest of the Korvax. They have decided that they want to be separate, they want their own life. And fair enough. Let's ask about Nada then. Nada awoke with the death of Korvax Prime. Could not understand why such things happen. Why we are alone. Now I am divergent. The convergents do not see through my eyes. Nada is not alone anymore. Nada is with Polo Friend. Now many other friends visit. Our convergence is small, but Nada happy. Nada's carapace pulses with a gentle light. There is something familiar about them. So let's ask about little Polo across the way there. Polo Friend found Nada, found my signal. Nada is safe. Now Nada finds other signals, makes others safe. The station has been calling to me since I woke up on the planet. Perhaps it called to Artemis as well. So let's ask about this space station. Beyond what is outside, our anomaly wanders free. Free like Nada, to observe, to watch, to search. The Sentinels, the Atlas, they do not care for this place. I feel their eyes hunting us. Nada watches me, judging my reactions as they speak. Speak with Polo Friend, traveller. Perhaps they might know more about missing Artemis. They perceive things more clearly than Nada. Just going to speak to Polo. Friends everywhere, if only you know where to look. Friends in all shapes, all sizes, all places. Artemis Friend, you are where they should be. Does not seem possible, but all things are possible, such is the universe. We will find them, no doubt. There is always a signal, always a trace. Our home will see to it. When you leave, you will not be where you were. You will be closer. So when we leave this space station, the Anomaly, it's going to put us somewhere completely different to where we were. Because the Anomaly exists outside of space and time. So we're not, even right now, we're not in the system we were in. And when we leave through the front doors, it puts us where it needs to put us, basically. Discovery is exciting, yes? Before you leave, perhaps spend some time with other friends. We all help each other here. Right, so we've already gone and spoken to a lot of the other friends, but we'll have another look around. So I suppose I showed you around in the wrong order here. I should have come and spoke to Nada and Polo first, but whatever. Okay, speak to other travellers to earn nanites. Learn technology blueprints, which we already did. Okay, let's speak to other travellers first. So let's speak to these two. No, let's speak to you. Ah, Jung Hwan. You who still roam the boundaries of the universe, how I envy you. My time out in reality has long passed, but I miss it greatly. Perhaps you might help an old soul and share the things you have seen. I yearn for the stars, for the glory of discovery. So, they're asking for planet data at the moment. We've been to a few planets, so let's give them that. Thank you, little one. You have no idea what this means to me. Please, take these nanites. They are nothing, but they are all I have now. Okay, learn some new technology blueprints. We already did that. Your suit is an extension of yourself. Let me aid you. Okay. What's going to be most useful to us? Yeah, I'm going to buy one. I'm going to buy all four. It does kind of annoy me that it throws us out of the menu. Oh, I didn't that time. It seems to depend on whether I press certain buttons quick enough as to whether or not it boots us out. Yeah, that's quite handy. Okay, that'll do. Now you'll find quite often that depending on what you're doing, it might switch you to certain secondary missions, especially if you've just bought something. If you want to stay on track, just come into the log here and put it back on where it's meant to be. Construction research channel. Yeah, I definitely did this this walk around in the wrong order. Speak to Nada about Artemis. Nada and Polo drift between worlds and worlds. There are many. Have you seen them, traveller friend? Nada wishes they could. Nada regrets much. Traveller entity is free to make their own path. Find Artemis entity. Explore with others. Travel to great sights. Proceed as you will, traveller entity. We will aid you. Others will aid you also, even if you seek the Crimson Lyre. Let's ask what the Crimson Lyre is about. Crimson Lyre, Atlas, false entity. Korvax worship, but Nada knows better. Nada knows where it dwells. Nada chooses to disregard it. But if Traveller Entity wishes to seek it, Nada will help. Nada wishes you to be safe. So we're not going to seek the Atlas. In fact, yeah, let's seek the Atlas before we continue with the Artemis path. Because the Atlas path, which this will unlock, you want to get done as quickly as you can, and certainly before you finish the Artemis path, because it gets really buggy with the Atlas path if you've ever changed. No, I don't want to give anything away there. If you've ever finished the Artemis path, the Atlas path gets really buggy. So you want to be doing the Atlas path as soon as you can. But as you'll see in another video I make about it, it's one that you have to do throughout your game. You can't do it all at once, not early on anyway. And the reasoning behind that is your milestone data, so how much aliens you've talked to, how far you've travelled on foot, and how many enemies you've destroyed, all that stuff. Each of the 10 Atlas stations you need to go to, in order to interact with them properly, you need to have gained another 5 milestones. So you want to go to them after 5 milestones, 10 milestones, 15 milestones, 20 milestones, and so on and so forth. But you want, every time you gain 5 milestones, to switch back to the Atlas path, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. Okay. So you'll see it's marked the Atlas path in here now. Alright, so if we go over to milestones, you see I've got a total of 17 milestones, which means because I've got at least 15, I'll be able to do the first 3 Atlas stations in a minute. I don't recommend waiting to do them all at once you've got 100 milestones you need, or whatever it is. No, it will be 50 milestones out of the 100. I don't recommend waiting until the end to do that, purely because, again, it gets really glitchy. You want to be doing this as often as you can, and before you move too far forward with the Artemis path. There's a certain part near the end of the Artemis path that if you get to that part, a mission called the Purge, so not Alone Amidst the Stars like this is, but the Purge. If you get to that point, stop immediately and finish the Atlas path. Yeah. So you'll notice that that's updated from Awakenings to Alone Amidst the Stars. Now that we've boarded the Space Anomaly and done all our little talking. So we want to continue our search for Artemis. Select Alone Amidst the Stars from your mission log. Return to space. So we simply go back to our ship and we exit. Now remember, this is going to put us somewhat... It didn't actually put us somewhere different, that's interesting. Okay, but it can put us somewhere different, depending on what we're doing and where we're trying to go. Incoming frequency. Right, I'm not going to answer that, I'm going to end the video for now, because that was all about the Anomaly. Have a nice day everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.